Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Bhanachari Jamuna Tira Bhanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Radha Giridhari Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Jaja Shodara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanara in the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Jaja Shodara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Samveda Bhakti ki Jai, Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Oh, yes. So this morning's class, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers. This is text 33. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasyaiva te vapur idam nija kala saktya. I have a little difficulty doing one line at a time because I can't carry a melody. Sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudham ambasi ananta shayanad viramat samadhir nabir adbhut swa kanika vatavan mahabjam tasyayvate vapoidam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmanatma gudham ambasyananta shayanad viramat samadhir nabiradbhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudham ambasyananda shayanad viramat samadhir nabiradbhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmanatma gudham ambasyananta shayanad viramat samadhir nabiradbhut swakanika at avatavan mahabjam. Anyone like to chant?
Sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudam sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudam ambasyananta sanayad viramat samadhi ambasyananta shayanad viramat samadhi navirabhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam navirabhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudham sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudham ambasyananda shayanad viramat samadhir ambasyananda shayanad viramat samadhir nabherabhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam nabherabhut swakanika vatavan mahabjam tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya tasyayvate vapuridam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmana atma gudham ambasyananta shayanad viramat samadhir ambasyananta shayanad viramat samadhir Navera Bhutsvakanika Bhagavan Mahavyam.
Tasyaiva Deva Puridam Nijakala Shaktya.
Tasyaiva Deva Puridam Nijakala Shaktya.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharmana Atma Gudham.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharmana Atma Gudham.
Ambasyananta Sayanat Viramat Samadhe.
Ambasyananda Shayanan Vidamat Samadhe.
Nabhera Bhutsvakanika Vatavan Mahabjam.
Nabhera Bhutsvakanika Vatavan Mahabjam.
Tasyai Vateva Puridam Nijakala Shakya.
Tasyai Vateva Puridam Nijakala Shakya.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharma Atma Gudham.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharma Atma Gudham.
Ambasyanata Shanayat Viramat Samadhi.
Ambasyananta Shayanat Vidamat Samadhe.
Nabhera Bhutsvakanika Vatavan Mahabjam.
Abhiratma Kanika Vatavan Mahabjam. One more.
Tasyaiva Teva Puridam Nijakala Shaktya.
Tasyaiva Teva Puridam Nijakala Shaktya.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharmanatma Gudham.
Sanchodita Prakriti Dharmana Atma Gudham.
Ambasyananta Shayanad Viramat Samadhe.
Ambasyananta Shayanat Vidamat Samadhe.
Nabhera Bhutsvakanika Vatavan Mahabjam.
Nabhera Bhutsvakanika Vatavan Mahabjam.
So word for word. Tasya, of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Te, of you. Vapahu, the cosmic body. Idam, this universe. Nijakala Shaktya, by the potent time factor. Sanchodita, agitated. Prakriti Dharmanaha, of him by whom the three gunas, or qualities of material nature, Atma Gudham, dormant in yourself, Ambasi, in the water known as the causal ocean, Ananta Shayanat, from the bed known as Ananta, another feature of yourself, Viramat Samadhi, having awakened from the Samadhi, Yoga trance, Nabhe, from the navel, Abhut, appeared, Swakarnika, from the seed, Vatavat, like the great banyan tree, Mahabjam, the great lotus of the worlds, has similarly grown. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. This cosmic manifestation, the material world, is also your body. This total lump of matter is agitated by your potent energy known as Kala Shakti, and thus the three modes of material nature are manifested. You awaken from the bed of Sesha, Ananta, and from your navel a small transcendental seed is generated. It is from this seed that the lotus flower of the gigantic universe is manifested, exactly as a banyan tree grows from a small seed. Purport. The three different forms of Mahavishnu, namely Kanadakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who are the origin of creation and maintenance, are gradually being described. From Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is generated, and from Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is gradually expands. Thus, Mahavishnu is the original cause of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and from Garbhodakshayi Vishnu comes the lotus flower from which Lord Brahma is manifested. Thus, the original cause of everything is Vishnu, and consequently, the cosmic manifestation is not different from Vishnu. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter 8th verse, wherein Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattat sarvam bhavartate. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is an expansion of Karnadakshayi Vishnu, who is an expansion of Sankarshan. In this way, Krishna is ultimately the cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam. The conclusion is that both the material world and spiritual world are considered to be the body of the Supreme Lord. We can understand that the material body is caused by the spiritual body and is therefore an expansion of the spiritual body. Thus, when one takes up spiritual activities, one's entire material body is spiritualized. Similarly, in this material world, when the Krishna conscious movement expands, the entire world becomes spiritualized. As long as we do not realize this, we live in the material world. But when we are fully Krishna conscious, we live not in the material world, but in the spiritual world. Om Agyantimarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmanitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapidam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikapatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So taking permission from my seniors and blessings and prayers from everyone else, I will try to say a few words. I'm waiting for the blessings. Let's pray. Okay. So, it's a picture in the corner of the temple room over there we chose with Maharaj long time ago, because the picture there explains, every picture in this temple room was chosen for a reason.
Except for this one, which is derivative.
Oh, I think that was chosen out of ecstasy. Yes, no, look at that.
Go ahead.
Okay. It explains the Vedic understanding of creation. Of course, the verses previous to this and after this, and it's a wonderful photographer. Someone comes in the temple room, you try to explain that to them. But what is that? Anselm was his name? Anselm, the Christian philosopher, theologian. Anselm, he has that one line that he said that God is that person whom no greater personality can be conceived of. So if you can conceive of someone can conceive of something even greater, then that must be God. Okay. And it's a good argument. And, what people talk about in different religious or spiritual or cultural traditions, they talk about creation. Some are quite simple, right? And but you think about this. This is at Hoxaja. This is beyond the senses to even conceive of, And Krishna or Vishnu or God is known as bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. So sometimes you bring that up in preaching and say, well, how big is God? Who has the biggest conception of God? Well, this is known as Mahavishnu. Maha means big. Mahavishnu is so big, and he's an expansion of expansion. So many expansions are there. And then you have Mahavishnu, because this material world, these forms of Vishnu have to do with what's going on in the tiny corner of the spiritual world. Just like in the city or county of San Diego, there are a few prison houses. Has anyone ever been into any of these prisons or jails? Raise your hand. Am I the only one? Like that? Yeah. Yeah. So downtown San Diego, Officer Gajkovich, I'll never forget his name. We used to go in Harinam. He didn't like us, so he just threw us in jail. You have to wait 12 hours to get out. But the point is, that is not a significant aspect of the city of San Diego. It's just something over there that, they have to take care of, because there are people who break the law and they've got to put them in there. So in the same way, the material world, it's not an afterthought, it's a necessity, but it's a tiny little corner of the spiritual world. So Krishna expands himself as Mahavishnu, So from Krishna's point of view, we're looking at the whole creation, if you want to call it, the whole manifestation of Krishna's world. The spiritual world is a tiny corner of the spiritual world. It's over there. And even that, how big is it? That from Mahavishnu, there's an expansion of Krishna. He's sleeping. He's not even like up and around doing stuff. He's just taking a nap. It's called Nidra Yoga, right? He's taking a nap. And while he's napping, how much can you get done while you're napping? A little digestion, right? Right? Huh? Breathing and a little digestion or something like that. Not much, right? So when you're taking a nap, and while he's napping, from his breathing, was that yesterday's verse in the purport? That Yakaranara Jale Bhajatisma Yoga. Or is that the next one in the Brahma Samhita about Saroma Kupa, from the hairs, the pores of his hairs of his body? Yeah, so from his breathing and from the pores, universes are coming, just universes are coming, millions. And sometimes I explain to people, it says it's like a bag of mustard seeds. Actually, the Purusha Sukta, we recite that when we're doing these yagyas and so on, doing the fire. And then that's a story of creation. That's what it's described in there. That Krishna expands as 1/4, 3/4 is the spiritual world, and Mahavishnu expands and becomes the Purusha Sukta. And how it's a bag of mustard seeds. Millions and millions and billions of universes, and we're just in one of them. And it's so vast. And those universes expand and expand. And then when Lord Vishnu inhales, all of those worlds contract again right inside his body. Then he exhales again. And I guess we're at the end of one breath, our universe, because our universe is the smallest. So it doesn't get much time to grow. Then back in. Something like that. It seems like it could be, because we're the smallest, then comes back in. And that's Mahavishnu, and that's just a little corner of the spiritual world. And what happens in each of those universes is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbha means ocean. So each universe is filled up halfway with this water, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is there, and he's lying there. And then it's described here, right? Garbha. Fetus. Okay. And then the Lord Brahma is hinting to that Lord Brahma, the lotus comes, and that's a lotus of the universe, some or other, all the 14 planetary systems and so on. So this is our Vedic idea of God is big and what the creation is in this material world. And then from there, so many different things are happening. Now, in the verse, it talks about Nijakala Shaktya, and the potent time factor. I remember I was doing someone's house once, and a bunch of members of the congregation were there, and I asked them, I said, what is it, which makes this material manifestation happen? In being very young teenager kind of Indian, oh, it's gravity. Gravity. I said, no, it's not gravity, it's time. So I was talking about Sudarshan Chakra. The movement of that chakra is the element of time, and because of the element of time, everything starts happening in this material world. And the time element pushes everything, starts pushing the material energy, and things start going because of time. That's Kala. So that's what's being described here. Everything is Nija Kala Shaktya Sanchodita. Everything's agitated or starts moving because of time. So this is the brief understanding here of our idea of creation. Very, very vast and big and beyond our comprehension. You'll never be able to prove or disprove this, right? Someone say, can you prove that? Not with our mind and senses, and nor can you disprove it, right? These are transcendental things that have to be like Prabhupada once said asked some question, Prabhupada said, when you go to the spiritual world, you can ask Krishna. So when you become self-realized, you can see all of this. Just like Arjuna and Krishna went to visit Mahavishnu. So you can, but not with our present mind and senses and so on. But this is the Vedic understanding of what's happening. And very important here, in the purport Prabhupada is saying about the material world and the spiritual world are the body of the Lord. In other words, they're his energies. He quotes the Bhagavad Gita, this aham sarvasya prabhavo mattat sarvam bhavartate. He's the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. Everything is emanating from Krishna. It's all his energy, in the sense of that body. It's all the energy of the Lord, material and spiritual world. And this material world and what's going on is an expansion of the spiritual energy. And we can understand that to some extent, that due to the presence of the soul, the body around it is developing and moving and so on. In the same way, Krishna is the soul of this universe because he's entered, and that's part of the Purusha Sukta, because he's entered this universe, he's brought it to life. Otherwise, it's inert matter. That's the point. It's inert matter. Unless there's a presence of something else, and that's consciousness, that's the soul, nothing's going to happen. And it says here, total lump of matter. That's how Prabhupada translates it. It's just a big lump, a lump of matter. But how is it all animated or agitated? That's Krishna's making that arrangement. That's why the argument sometimes given that, and Sariputta said Carl Sagan, I don't know when that Cosmos series was the 90s or something? At that time, it was quite a great big thing. Everyone. An atheistic explanation of the universe. But the argument is that we say, if you go back far enough, God, created everything. And they're saying, why go back that far? Just stop with matter. Matter is just eternally existing, and matter is just manifesting everything. The problem with that is matter is not able to organize itself into all these complex forms. That's the problem. Even if we say matter is eternal too. It's always existing in some form, but there's nothing in matter which can explain complex order, organizing itself, and then there's annihilation and reorganization. There's nothing there to explain that. So that's why. The argument that, it's just matter and it's always been this way and it's just going on, the seasons are changing and planets and this and that and it's all just happening. No, that's not science at all. That's not scientific at all. There has to be something behind that, and that's what Krishna saying here. He's behind everything. He's expanding. And in our own little cosmic world, our body, we're the ones who are, because of our presence, things are happening. And we're not 100% all-powerful because we can't keep it from dying. What is that song you have? Every body dies?
Every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, then open. Not that body of your spirit, soul, chant the holy name and attain life soul.
There we go. Okay. Every body dies. We can't stop it. We try. We go to the doctor, right? Or we go to the plastic surgeon. Give us, right? Go to a plastic surgeon, you go to this, you go to that. We try so much and investing so much money in research like that. Can we stop this disease? Can we stop that disease? Can we stop old age? Listening to these morning walks with Srila Prabhupada in the 70s, and devotees are saying different articles they read where scientists will say by the year 2000 or something like that, they'll have old age will be a thing of the past. Well, 2000's gone and they all died and we're still here dying and I'm getting old. It's like, but they're so bold, the new science, I think they move in the date like the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Everyone's going back to Godhead and they keep sliding the date back or something like that. So 2025? 2050. Okay, hang on there. So it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We can't stop the material energy because we're just, it's just Krishna's laws of material energy. So, but the good news here in the end of the purport, Prabhupada's saying that when one takes up spiritual activities, one's entire material body is spiritualized. Similarly, in the material world, when the Krishna conscious movement expands, the entire material world becomes spiritualized. As long as we do not realize this, we live in the material world, and when we are fully Krishna conscious, we live not in the material world, but in the spiritual world. So even this is the vision of the devotees that, was it Prabhupada Saraswati? He was saying the Sukhayate, this whole material world, is very wonderful, very blissful place, because he's seeing devotional service and Krishna everywhere. So what's the difference between the material world and the spiritual world? It's our consciousness. That's all it is. It comes right down to our consciousness. And we can see, just like the Prabhupada would sometimes give the example, be in a temple and talk, well, before we moved into this temple, what was it? Just like this temple here. Different churches and so on. And this temple here was Elks Club or something like that.
Elks Club,
Yeah.
movie theater,
Right.
Navy barracks.
Yeah. Remember, Larry as in Subhadra and Larry? Remember her husband? Larry, Nimai's father. Anyways, devotee in the community. He remembers being a kid here, going to movies in this building when he was a little kid.
No, he's right.
No. Yeah. So, yeah. But now look at it. It's a building, but it's completely transformed, because in this building, so many spiritual activities are going on. So in the same way, Krishna consciousness expands. So again, example would be like the devotees in Los Angeles. Expanded from the temple, now the whole block, right? Ashram and so on. So it just kind of spreads. And when that consciousness spreads, then the material world becomes just like the spiritual world. In this sense of the gold in the gold-plated box. Solid gold, gold-plated. They're both golden. There's a difference, but they're both golden. So the material energy, when it's used in Krishna's service, it becomes spiritualized. And for us, what that means is no longer a source of suffering. It's no longer a source of bewilderment. It's no longer a source of entanglement. Because when we try to manipulate this energy for our own sense gratification, we become entangled. It's like Tar Baby. Everyone knows Tar Baby? You know Tar Baby? I don't know where that's from, what stories, but it's
It's from, anyway, I'll tell you, it's from some Dutch, German.
Storyteller. Yeah. The Tar Baby. In other words, try to grab and you get stuck because of the tar, So in the material world, you try to enjoy it, but we just get stuck and we suffer. But all that can change. And that's Krishna consciousness. It can become a very happy place, as happy as possible, by being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, individually and then collectively, as we spread the movement, more and more living entities, because they change their consciousness, the world changes. And it's all about consciousness. All about why is the world the way it is? It's all about the consciousness of the people. So whether it's a small group of people, or a city, or a state, or a country, or a planet, or a whole universe, it has to do with the consciousness of the people. So Prabhupada's making a point here, just this one thing, spreading Krishna consciousness, you can spiritualize the world. If people just change their consciousness like that. You can turn matter into spirit and spirit into matter. It goes both ways like that. That's why in the spiritual world, they tap you on the shoulder and you got to leave right away if you start having a different idea. Oh, we got a place for you. That's the material world. The little tap on the shoulder. I think you ought to go. So just like that, instantaneous. So the spiritual world is devoid of that consciousness, but in the material world, it's a schoolhouse, jailhouse. In other words, we're not condemned. There's a theology that people get condemned forever, and they just rot. But again, as Anselm said, we have the idea of a merciful God is a higher concept than a God that just condemns you for eternity. Isn't it? Very much so. So, very, very merciful that no matter how fallen we are, Krishna's arranged the material world in such a way where everyone can gradually just go back home, back to Godhead, learn their lesson, schoolhouse, and go home. back to Godhead. Very, very kind, very compassionate. So that's all I say right now, because it's time for some questions or comments. Anything anyone like to say? Otherwise, I'll go back in and pull a few more things out.
Well, let me ask you this.
You say you can't prove it, so why do you guys believe it?
Okay, good question. Can't prove it with our material mind and senses. In other words, the instruments we have don't work to prove these kinds of things. And that's we know in our day-to-day life. If you want to prove what the temperature is today, what instrument do you need? Thermometer. So I hand you a barometer. Can you tell me what the temperature is? So you have the wrong instrument. It doesn't help. Even if it's like a really expensive barometer. You say, come on, I just got this on Amazon. It cost me $1,000. And it won't tell me the temperature? No, it won't tell you the temperature because it's the wrong instrument.
So it can be proven.
Yes, you have to have the right instrument. That's all we're saying. We're not asking you to not prove it, but we're giving you another instrument. That's the instrument of the spiritualized senses. It all becomes revealed. So that's all. Dogma is you don't prove it, just accept it. Right? Just accept it. We don't say that. No, prove it. Prove it to yourself. Prove all of this to yourself. But you got to have the right instrument. And if you go, no, that means you're not really interested to know what the temperature is. I don't want a thermometer. I'm going to stick with my barometer. Okay, that means you don't really want to know what the temperature is. That's all it means. And we can just take Prasadam or something. Yeah, that's all. Just use the right instrument. That's all we're asking. And how do you know it's the right instrument? That's the next question, right? How do you know it's the right instrument? Well, a lot of people have been using it for a long time, and they're just saying they got the same reading, right? So why not? So any other questions or comments? You got 3 minutes.
Thank you for the class. Another analogy is like instrument Srila Prabhupada gives. It's like TV set or radio set. We should tune
the radio.
Our heart. Yeah.
Can you translate that for me?
Yeah, just to probably get an example, just like a radio. You know, the sound waves. You just tune it a little bit, then all of a sudden you get the Krishna station from Utah, like that. So, but if you don't tune it, you don't hear the right sound. It's just a so you just have to tune it. Would you like a microphone back there?
You were talking about when the material world is annihilated. Could you say that the Lord is like the shelter of all jivas because they had to take shelter from him like by force?
Well, the Lord is known as Narayan, which means the resting place of all living entities. So that's just our nature. Is that what you wanted to know? Yeah, Narayan. So all living entities come from the Lord. And they're resting on his energy, whether in the spiritual world or in the material world, directly and indirectly. He's the resting place of all living entities. And it's not just we're just floating around without any relationship. Krishna expands. The third expansion here is from Shriyodakshayi Vishnu comes the super soul, Antaryami, in the heart of every living entity who enters this material world. So Krishna is very, very close to us. Okay.
Can you have a relationship with the super soul, like with the Paramatma, or is it?
Of course you can. You do have one. It's just a question of realizing it. It's not like you're strangers. That's Krishna's your best friend, and he's in your heart. And he's specifically there to help you revive that relationship. So it's there. The example of the two birds on the branch given in the Upanishads, that's what it is. Krishna's right next to us, but we'd rather do something else. But the relationship's there. We're the ones who left. We walked out. Sometimes there's a disagreement. Someone walks out, He left me. She left me. Just walked out on me like that. There's a song by Willie Nelson. Everyone hear of Willie Nelson? It was a song. It's the title is something like the last thing. The last thing. Those country westerns are great. Everything's falling apart. It's just something like the worst thing that happened to me. The first thing that happened to me today was the worst thing. The first thing that happened to me. And there's all these things about he wakes up, spills coffee on himself, and slammed the front gate on his leg when he tried to get the mail, and this and that, and there's an overdue bill, and you walked out on me. You walked out on me. That's the whole song is about all these laments. So we walked out on Krishna, but Krishna's not. He's not saying, well, if that's the way you want to be about it. No, he's just right there, just waiting. Like that. So yes, that's a yes to your question. That's it. And the quickest way is not the yoga of meditating on the heart and so on. It's the Harinam. Harinam Sankirtan will revive your relationship with the Super Soul in your heart. Yes, go over that.
Thank you. I just have a quick comment. On book distribution, sometimes you'll see these funny shirts. And I saw one that said, science is like religion but real.
Say that again?
Someone had a shirt that said, science is like religion but real.
Oh, science.
Yeah, science.
Okay. Okay, so we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.